Hello and welcome back. Till now we have only dealing with the batch data where the data is stationary and not in real time. So now it is time to get real and start working on Apache PySpark Streaming. So in the upcoming lectures we are going to see how we can process the real-time data using Spark Streaming API. So without further ado, let's get into it. So till now we have only dealt with the batch data in which the data is coming in the batch mode. But in real world, there will be the scenarios where you have like a huge amount of data which is generating every second and it should be processed in a real time. And because that data is so important and you need the output right away, then you cannot rely on batch processing because batch processing could take a while and it processes the data in big batches of data files. So that's why structured streaming is so important in the world of big data today. So that we are going to see in this video. So we will first understand what is like a structured streaming and how we can use Spark to process the data in nearly real time. So without further ado, let's jump onto it. So far we have used like structured APIs for processing large data. But that data was into very finite volumes. But the data will arrive continuously and you need to process in a real-time manner. So first let's understand what is stream processing. So stream processing is nothing but like a continuous processing of endless streams of the data. So when you have like the logs generated every second and if you want to get some insight out of it, then that is like a stream processing. So with the advancement of the big data and the big data tools, this stream processing transition from a single node processing engine to the multiple node and a distributed processing engines, because to handle big data, single node cannot do the whole work. It should be processed horizontally across the clusters of the worker nodes. So traditionally, this distributed stream processing is implemented with a concept known as record at a time processing model. So this diagram will illustrate what really it means. So this processing pipeline is nothing but composed of a directed graph of nodes. So as we have these 3 nodes into our graph and they will continuously receive one record at a time. So as you can see, these colorful dots are nothing but a record. So here as you can see, the single records are getting consumed by each nodes and those nodes will filter the records one at a time as shown in this figure and generate the output which will be the input for our next node. And that next node is like an aggregated phase. So in this step, it is just counting the records one at a time. And we are getting the output counts out of the node 3. So this processing model can achieve very low latency, which means that an input record can be processed by pipeline and the result output can be generated within milliseconds. But it has some drawbacks, like this model is not very efficient at recovering from the node failures, and also like the slower nodes, like the nodes which are slower than the other nodes in the cluster. So it can either recover from failure very fast with a lot of extra resources, or you can use a minimal resources but the recovery time will be very slow. So that is the trail for utilizing this record at a time processing model. But there was a concept known as micro batch stream processing, which is introduced with Apache Spark. Let's talk about that now. So this traditional approach which we have just discussed was challenged by Spark when they introduced this Spark Streaming, and it also called as DStreams. So it is introduced with the idea of macro batch processing. So where like the streaming computation is modeled around like a continuous series of small batch processing jobs. So these jobs will be like similar to the MapReduce jobs. So we have like a chunks of streaming data and those chunks of data will be processed in real time on your distributed cluster by using the small jobs. So this is like a batch processing only, but it does that on a smaller chunks of data rather than utilizing the big chunks of data in which we have seen in the traditional batch processing. So as shown in this figure, like the Spark Streaming will divide the data from input stream into micro batches. So as you can see, this batches, this is batch 1 and this is like a batch 2, and this each batch is processed in the Spark cluster in a distributed manner. So as you can see, we have the 3 nodes in the cluster working in parallel. It will process those micro batches and it will output the counts as a micro batch. So as you can see, this is just an aggregation operation which it is doing. So this breaking down the streaming computation into this smaller task will give us 2 advantages. So the first one is like Spark's agile task scheduling can be very quickly and very efficient to recover from the failures as well as the slow executors. It will does that by rescheduling 1 or more copies of task on any other executors which are available in your cluster. So that is a big advantage. The next one is like the deterministic nature of the task will ensure that the output data is same no matter how many times the task is re-executed. So that is like a consistency. So this characteristic will enable Spark Streaming for providing an end-to-end guarantee, that is like it will generate the output result such that every input record will be processed exactly once. So that is very important to maintain the accuracy across the system. But this efficient fault tolerance will come at a cost of latency. So this micro batch model cannot achieve like millisecond level latencies like we have seen in the previous mode. It will usually achieve like latencies of like few seconds, but we have seen that many of the use cases, the benefit of micro batch processing will outweigh the drawbacks of this second latencies. So this is because like most of the streaming pipeline will have some characteristic. Your pipeline do not need latencies lower than few seconds. So for example, if we have like a streaming output and it will only going to read by hourly jobs. So it doesn't matter if you are achieving like a millisecond level latency or a second level latency. You just need a processing engine to be as precise as possible, as well as it should recover from the failure efficiently. That is only possible if you utilize micro batch stream processing. And also if like there are larger delays in like other parts of the pipeline. So for example, if you have like Apache Kafka consuming sensor data which are batch to achieve high throughput, then no amount of optimization in the downstream processing can make the end-to-end latency which can be lower than the batching delays. So if one of your component is using the batch processing, then no matter what you are using, it will not matter if you achieve millisecond level latencies. So you can utilize micro batch stream processing because it will give you a good accuracy across your process, as well as it will maintain the failure recovery very efficiently. So that's why in these like some scenarios, micro batch stream processing will be enough for you. But with numerous advantages, it also comes with some of the drawbacks. So that we are going to discuss now. So this DStreams API will have these major 3 drawbacks. The first one being like it will have the lack of single API for batch and the stream processing. So even though like the DStreams and the APIs like the RDD have the consistent API, which means that it has like same operation as well as the semantics, but developers will still have to rewrite their code for using different classes when you are converting their batch jobs into streaming jobs. So that is an extra work you need to put. So that is like a big disadvantage if you are in the agile development. So that time this rework will really cause delays while deploying your jobs in the production. The next one is there is a lack of separation between the logical and the physical plans of this Spark Streaming, or we can say DStreams. So this Spark Streaming will execute the DStream operation in sequence, which is like specified by the developers. So since like developers can effectively specify the exact physical plan, there is no scope for automatic optimization. So developers like to do extra work to optimize their code for getting the better performance. So this automatic optimization will be like disabled if you are specifying the exact physical plan of your Spark streaming job. So that is like a big disadvantage. And it also has like a lack of native support for event time windows. So what it means is like DStream will define the window operation based only on the time when each record is received. right? But many use cases will need to calculate windowed aggregate, which is based upon the time when records were generated instead of when they are received or processed. So this lack of native support for event time window will make it very harder for developer for building such pipelines using this Spark streaming. So these drawbacks which we have discussed led to the introduction of structured streaming in Apache Spark. So that is like the main topic of today's lecture. So this structured streaming was designed from scratch with one core philosophy, and that was like for the developers, writing stream processing pipelines should be very easy as writing the batch pipelines. That was the main motto behind introducing this structured streaming. So what it brings on the table exactly? The first one is it is like a single unified programming model, and also it has the same interface for batch and stream processing. So this unified model will offer a very simple API interface for both of this batch or the stream processing. So you can use like a familiar SQL or batch like data frame queries, which we have discussed in our previous lectures, on your stream as you would do on a batch job. And also it will brings like a broader definition of stream processing. So big data processing applications have like grown a complex enough that the line between real-time processing and the batch processing has significantly blurred recently. So the aim with like a structured streaming was to broaden its usability from traditional stream processing to a larger class of applications. Any applications that periodically to consistently process the data should be expressible using the structured streaming. So that was like a main motto behind introducing this structured streaming. So now let's talk about the programming model of the structured streaming and understand how it works under the hood. So first of all, everyone knows about the table. So it is like a very well-known concept that the developers are familiar with while building the batch application. So this structured streaming will extend this concept to streaming applications by treating a stream as an unbounded, which is like a continuously appendable table, as given in this figure here. So as you can see, this is like an unbounded table. So the new data which is coming in will be appended to this unbounded table. So which means that the new records in the data stream is equal to the new rows appended to this unbounded table. So that is the concept behind this structured streaming model. So the structured streaming will not only retain all the input, but the output produced by the structured streaming until the time will be equivalent to having all the input in the unbounded table and running a batch job on the table. So as you can see in this figure, the developers will define the query on this conceptual input table. So as you can see, the user's query on input table using the batch API, and it will be treated like a static table. So to compute the result table, the structured streaming will automatically convert this batch like query to a streaming execution plan. This is also called as a incrementalization. So the structured streaming will figure out a way what state needs to be maintained for updating the result each time a new record will arrive in this unbounded table. And finally, developers will specify the triggering policies for controlling when to update the results. So as you can see, this is like incremental execution on the streaming data. So each time the trigger fires, the structured streaming will check for the new data and incrementally updates the result. And this like a last part of this model is a output mode. So each time the result table is updated, the developers will want to write that updated data to an external system. So it will be like a file system like SDFS or like Amazon S3 bucket or any other relational database like MySQL, or you can also incorporate NoSQL here like Cassandra. So you usually want to write the output incrementally, and for this purpose the Spark structured streaming will provide the 3 output modes, and you are probably familiar with 2 of them. The first one is append mode. So in this append mode, only the new row will be appended to the result table. So this is applicable only in the queries where existing row in the result table cannot be changed. The next mode is like an update mode. So only the rows that are updated in the result table will be changed in the external storage. And there is a complete mode as well. So this entire updated result table will be returned to the external storage. So those are like the modes we are utilizing in the streaming model. So thinking of this like a data stream as a tabular format or a table will make it very easier for conceptualizing the logical computation on the data. But also it will make it easier to express them in the code as well. So if you're writing a code and you know about the data frame API and like the dataset API, then definitely it will make a difference, because Spark's data frame is like a programmatic representation of a table, and we can use like a data frame API for expressing our computation on the streaming data. So all you need to do is like define as an input data frame from streaming data source, and you can apply operations on top of a data frame in the same way you will be doing in the batched manner. But you have to build your fundamental of structured streaming query that we are going to see in the next lecture. So this lecture was all about understanding what is streaming data, what are the different streaming models, and what are the drawbacks and advantages, and which one was better for which applications, and what are the lessons learned from those models to incorporate this structured streaming model which Apache Spark is having right now. So I hope that was informative to you and it is good for your understanding. So if you have like any questions, you can let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you like this lecture. So please subscribe to our channel and also ring the notification bell to get the latest updates. And don't forget to follow us on our social media, which I have linked in the description below. Thanks for watching.